So when everything last year started getting locked down and everything just started closing up, how did that affect you? Like, did you have shows and tours and stuff that you had to cancel?
Yeah, I had like 60 shows that got canceled. The thing is that when I came back I was actually coming back from Florida, right when that whole thing began.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of the ones that buys into it because I've studied alternative medicine most of my life. So as I'm sitting there and I'm listening to these guys talk, I just went, you know what? None of these people, not one of them, is telling anyone how to strengthen their immune system. They're just terrorizing and terrifying everybody. And so I was a real proponent of understanding what went on. And it's like every time somebody would go, well, such and such and so, I'd go, yeah, well, show me the science, show it to me. Nobody ever could. So it's like, I understand that it's a dangerous disease. It really is. Most people are dying from some complication prior to whatever they might have had.
Yeah.
So, it's like, no, I'm sorry. I ain't going into this. So they said, it's like one day I called my daughter because my daughter lived here at the condo. And then so I moved into the condo while she moved up to Kentucky for the whole thing. And it was so funny because one day I gave her a call and I said, hey, honey, how you doing? And she said, Daddy, I've been doing everything they told me to do. I'm not going out. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. She says, I am about ready to kill somebody. And I said, yeah, well, I said, I've been out every day breaking the laws the government set, or not the government, but whoever's in charge is set, probably a couple of gods too. And I'm 72 years old and you're 24 and I'm in infinitely better shape than you are, especially mentally. And she went, yep, you are. So it's like, I truly believed in herd immunity and I still do. So I've just kind of, I learned how to strengthen my immune system years ago, and it's been very, very good for me. So praise God. I'm happy about that. How about you? Did you suffer anything?
I did not. I was laid off work. The casinos closed down here, as did a lot of places. So places were shut down or people were working from home. So I basically just stayed home, went out when I had to.
Yeah.
Helped out my mother, who is 82, and just taking it easy and just enjoying the time off and waiting to see what happens. Everything started opening up again, well, the beginning of August, and things are starting to pick up, and this Delta variant now seems to be taking over, and the cases here are starting to pick up again. So we're not sure what's going to happen, but they're hoping to not have to lock down, again, because but nobody's sure what's going to happen right now. And
well,
I heard the other day there's a new variant they found in Africa, which hasn't reached Canada yet, but now that's something we got to watch out for as well. But, it seems like this is never ending. It's one thing after the other.
Well, that's the way of the world now. And I think for me personally, they're not going to let it up because they found out how quickly we surrendered to everything. So, yeah, you got people that are in charge all over the world that, I'm sorry, I don't trust them. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. But again, show me the science. First of all, there is no test from what I understand for a Delta variant. So how do you know you got it? There's just too much information that is not complete. Yeah. And I'm sorry, show me. And it's like, even with the vaccine, I've had people get on me about that. And it's like, well, look, my mother died of a flu shot. It's on her autopsy report that it contributed to a blood clot came into her. It's 1992. Okay, well, I'm of the same gene pool. I've got the same RNA, DNA in me, genetic codes. And Well, that means my chances are pretty good. So every time, they go, well, are you going to take the shot? And I go, no. And you a bad boy. And I go, well, if it's so good, how much do you trust it? if it's obviously not going to work for you. So why am I going to get it? It's like somebody standing on a plane strapped on an air with a parachute, and they're going, okay, you jump, and you go, well, you jump. Oh, no. But you're the instructor. You've got the parachute. You know how this? Or no. You jump. It's like, why would I jump? You're the instructor. You're not even going to jump. So you don't trust it. So, again, it's when you get down to that level, you really have to do research. And unfortunately, we've kind of come to a place in our society where we've got so much information, but very few people that want to research. I went into the doctor, 4 or 5 months ago, like for a little a checkup thing. And when I walked in the door, the nurse literally jumped up and she put her hand out like this. And she said, have you had COVID? And I said, and good morning to you as well. I said, and along with 98.7% of the people in the United States, no, I have not. And that stopped the whole conversation right there. And I just went in and had my stuff, So I'm not one of those that's you got to show me stuff. I'm a real hard to react.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Well, I want to talk a bit about your history in music.
Yeah.
Changing the topic, if that's okay with you. Back in
Sure.
the 70s, you and England Dan released 11 records, had a number of singles, with 6 of those going to the top 40. First of all, how did you guys get together? Like, what was the start of it for you guys?
Oh man, Dan and I started off in high school. He was actually a year older. There was a band called the Playboys 5. They had a guitar player quit. His girlfriend was giving him so much garbage, and he just said, okay, I'm done. So the guys in the band wanted a keyboard player. Dan wanted another guitar player. So they got their keyboard player, and Dan and I didn't get along because, again, he didn't want me there. So it took us a long time to kind of get to the point of where we could really, connect with one another. So we used to drive to the gigs together. We'd sing Everly Brothers and Righteous Brothers and things like that. Dan always sang lead because he had such a great lead voice, and I always sang harmony. So we just kind of developed our own sound out of that. And it kind of paid off for us over the years.
I'd really love to see Tonight went gold. Would you say that was your most popular or most successful single?
I think that it was it was the most recognizable one, because that reached number 2 in the nation. The only thing that kept us out, from the number 1 spot was Play That Funky Music, White Boys.
Oh, no way.
Every time I'm driving in the car and I hear that song, I go, yeah. Fortunately enough, it was a good song, but you kept me out. So I just laugh about it. But yeah, that's probably the most recognizable of the 6. Actually, we had 4 top 10s, 2 top 20s, and a number of top 40s.
Oh, cool. And who wrote that song?
Actually, Parker McGee wrote that song. Now, the ironic thing about that was that Dan and I, neither one of us wanted to do the song because, first of all, we thought it was a female song. Second of all, we wanted to write our own material. That was what we wanted to be known for. We had three albums so far that I think we had sold maybe $1.98 worth of, of all those records that we had written the songs on. So it was really ironic because when I saw the first royalty check on I'd Really Love to See You Tonight, I found myself becoming quite mercenary. I called up Parker McGee, the guy who wrote it, and I said, Parker, hey, buddy, what else you got? So he gave us some more songs. And actually, Nights Are Forever Without You was the second single, and that was another one that he had written.
So did you guys write any of your songs?
I wrote Gone Too Far and Soldier in the Rain. I also wrote Westward Wind. Gone Too Far, I think, was number 24, 23, something like that in the nation. the funny thing about Westward Wind is that it never made it out of the 30s on the adult contemporary, the easy listening. 3 months, it'd be 39, then 34, then 36, then 31, then 32, then 31, then 39, then 34. I mean, it was hilarious. For like 3 months, this song stayed on the charts and never got out of the 30s.
So from that era in the 70s, is there anything that sticks out that you still remember that was a highlight for you?
Yeah, I think I had some of the best years of my life because we got to play with so many stellar groups and stellar people. We filled in because there was only 2 of us playing acoustic guitars at the first. They would sub us in to open for people. So we ended up having Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks cancel out of an Elton John tour or 2 dates of Elton John because he got a Tonight Show gig. So we ended up being with Elton in Milwaukee and Minneapolis. He really liked us, played with him again in San Diego. He called us from Japan and said, I want you to come to England with me for a month. So we were there, playing with Carole King right during the Tapestry album, having Bread call their agent and say, do not book us unless you book Dan and John to open for us. Mm-hmm. So, Chicago and Three Dog Night and, all these different groups that we got to tour with, they treated us so well and the music was just so good. And I learned how to live on the road. So, yeah, I remember a lot of those things.
And what happened? Because after the 70s was over, you guys had a good run. The 80s came and you guys went your separate ways. You put out one solo record and pretty much that was it for a long time for you with music. You went into acting. What happened with you guys?
Well, actually, Dan and I, we'd kind of reached our end. It was the disco era. And so getting anything, as a matter of fact, to say that Love Is the Answer was one of the only songs. I think there was only 2 in 1979 that were in the top 10 in America that were not disco. So Love Is the Answer was one of them. We were fighting that battle and we weren't winning. So we figured, look, if we're going to go out, let's go out on top. Dan went off into country music, did really well in country music, which is where he probably should have been all along, because that was really where his heart was. I went into film and acting, went into music, putting songs in films, things like that. So I had a pretty good run on that end, but it was much quieter. It wasn't as present or as noticeably present as we had previously.
So when you went into acting, did you have at that point any plans to go back to your music, or were you not sure at the time?
I had never really gotten out of the music. Again, putting songs in films and stuff. I remember one time, who Mike Curb is? He owns Curb Records. So he had all these artists here in Nashville. And I put a song in a film called Major League 3, Back to the Minors. It was a very opening song. So one of his artists sang that song, came into Los Angeles from Nashville. He sings the song. And I'm standing there talking with Mike Curb. And again, I'd never met the man, but he was what we called a suit. And I was an artist. So he looks at me trying to find something to say. And he says, so are you still in music? And I thought, hands down, that's got to be the dumbest question I've ever been asked in my life. And I said, yeah, it's kind of like being in the mob, you take a blood oath, you never get out of it. And he's like, oh God, what did I say? And I said, I wrote the song. And went, oh, okay. So then he disappears. And it was like, yeah, we just didn't quite connect here, So, yeah.
And then in the 90s, you did some co-producing. And one of the names I saw in your bio was you worked with Eddie Money.
Yeah. Eddie was character. We did 2 songs on him. Remakes. One, Give Me Some Water, and then the other one was 2 Tickets to Paradise. And Eddie was character. I remember he came to Nashville and he was playing. So my friend who introduced me to him, Tom Worth, we get up on stage with him to sing. And Eddie introduces Tom, and then he goes, yeah, and my other friend, remember John Ford Coley, Summer Breeze. And I'm looking at him going, Eddie, you jerk. And he's looking at me like, we had those kinds of relationships, But John Ford Coley, I thought that was funny.
So as far as new music, you hadn't put out records for quite some time until recent years. You put out it was a live in the Philippines, and then there was a live in Israel and LA, I believe.
Yeah.
And then a double CD you put out.
Eclectic. Yeah, Eclectic. Yeah, Eclectic.
And this year you released there was something this year I think you released digitally.
Yeah, it's a thing called Sketches, Volume 1. So what happened was Tom Worth, he works on me on the records that I do. We co-produce it. And so he came over one day and I was just looking at, old songs. And I said, Tom, what do you think about this one? And I played him a thing called Kind of Man. And he went, whoa, that's good, man. What are you doing with that? And I said, nothing. I said, what about this one? Played him another one. He said, what are you doing with these things? And I said, they're sitting in a drawer like everybody else's, just unreleased. Some of them were for films and things. So he said, you need to put those out. So I did. And actually the Sketches CD has a song, the last song that Dan and I wrote together, a thing called Falling. We never recorded it because it was kind of about being on the road, and missing your wife or your girlfriend. Yeah. So when we played it for the producer, he said, well, you shouldn't be putting out songs to where you're doing what you love and then you're upset because you're away from your wife or girlfriend. We went, okay. So, but I always liked the song, so I did it. And that's the last song you might ever hear that Dan and I wrote.
Are you continuously writing at all as far as music?
Oh, all the time, especially during this, this Fauci 19 thing. I've been playing all the time. I'm not a musician that plays only when I go out. I play all the time. I'm upstairs playing classical pieces and jazz things and reworking music because I truthfully just enjoy playing. So I've always got a piano or nearby or a guitar.
And what else do you like to do besides music? Do you have any other hobbies? Anything you picked up over the years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do a lot of things. One of the things I do a lot, probably it's going to upset a bunch of people, maybe not. I spend a lot of time at the range. I love weapons. So I've done that for a long time. I travel a lot. I just take off and go. I love to go to antique stores, old antique stores, and look at things or battlefields. Recently, I took off down to Louisiana, down near Shreveport, because I had a great-great-grandfather that fought in the Confederate Army, and he fought in 2 battles down there, Pleasant View and Mansfield. So I visit those battlefields. I just like to get in the car and go.
And you still live in Texas? You were born in Texas, weren't you?
Yeah, I was born in Texas. I'm a 6th-generation Texan. As a matter of fact, when I talk about getting in the car and going, it's because I look at my family history. Because my family, I had a great-great-grandfather 10 generations back that was at Jamestown. As a matter of fact, he saved Jamestown in 1622. Up in New York in 1662, they settled Kentucky. They had a grandfather that early settler in Texas, and actually was on his way to the Alamo with 60 other men from the town that he was in called the Minor Volunteers. They made it to Gonzales, Texas, the day before the Alamo fell. And then he went on to fight at the Battle of San Jacinto, which took Texas away from Mexico, from Santa Ana. And he was wounded in the leg as one of the 34 men wounded. And he actually died from that wound in about 1862. So going down, seeing the family history down there, going right up to Kentucky, Alabama, they were all over the South. So I just enjoy going and seeing where the family was and learning about what went on.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm a history freak. I really am.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love to go when I go to a city or something. I like to see the history and learn about it and what went on.
Oh, yeah.
And you've also
no historical marker sign is safe with me. I'm not going to pass a historical marker sign up, not find out what went on.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you writing any more books? I know you've already published
I was
one.
telling somebody the other day, I'm writing 3 books. One's called Nuclear Fusion for Musicians, Beyond People magazine, and Nuclear Fission for Musicians, Beyond Rolling Stone. And I mess with people. I'm not doing that. I like to kind of joke about stuff like that. But I did the Backstage Pass. I need to actually update that, because the Backstage Pass book is not about drugs, sex, and rock and roll. It's just about all the ridiculously funny things that would go on. And so I have things happen to me all the time.